So, it's been a minute, hasn't it? Hello, my name is Miguel, and welcome to my movie reviews. So, as you probably don't know, as I might have mentioned in other things, I'm a university student, so finding time to sit down and really talk about a film properly and with the amount of thought that it requires kind of becomes a difficult process. It's hard to find time to really dedicate to recording videos, and I'm sure if you are involved with content creating to some degree, you kind of understand how that goes. But we are wrapping up the semester, this lovely 2020 fall that we have, and hopefully over the subsequent break, I'll have time to kind of delve in and do the kind of shit I want to do. But enough of that nonsense. We're talking about a very interesting film today, and that is Trainspotting. So, let's just get into it. Trainspotting was directed by Danny Boyle and is based off the book Trainspotting by a guy named Irvin Welsh. Not really familiar with the book at all, but it came out in 1996 and stars Ewan McGregor, Ewan Bremner, Johnny Lee Miller, Kevin McKidd, Robert Carlyle, Kelly MacDonald. I'm not gonna have everyone's face flash onto here, but basically the main players are Ewan McGregor, our beloved Obi-Wan, as Mark Renton, the main character. We also have Ewan Bremner as Spud. Johnny Lee Miller, another pretty famous British actor. He plays Sick Boy, which is his kind of nickname throughout the whole thing. And we have Robert Carlyle, who plays probably the most polarizing person in this film, and that is Big B. So, Trainspotting. This was a very interesting watch, primarily because I am a huge black comedy fan. I think black comedies end up being among my favorite kinds of films, and this film is probably the quintessential black comedy. If you didn't know, Trainspotting is about this group of friends and their lives in this area of Edinburgh, and basically the story details their life and primarily the time that they have together where they're all addicted to heroin. Yeah, not exactly the easiest film to sort of get into. It is quite inaccessible, and if you have seen any clips from Trainspotting, they are probably the scenes that are the most shocking. There's one in the bathroom that I don't want to talk about, and there's another one in the bar with some glass. Actually, there's a couple in bars with glass, but there's also scenes with a baby, and that was a difficult watch. And among that, there's also a lot of very pure moments of joy and human connection that you really feel with Ewan McGregor and the rest of his friends. I think in terms of performances, the whole group of guys do a very fantastic job. I think that the humor is very much so British, and specifically very topical. And I don't want to pretend I have like a stout knowledge of the Scottish-English relationship or the economic status of Edinburgh at the time, but this film feels very much so authentic in the sense of hopelessness and nihilism that all these characters sort of emulate throughout the film. I think that there are a lot of very graphic moments with the use of heroin, with the use of violence as a plot device. And really, the film uses violence to sort of characterize its characters, for lack of a better word. And you really get the sense that this film ends up being a reflection of how different people deal with hopelessness. And in saying that, this film has been awarded a lot of very big deal type things. It's ranked 10th on the British Film Institute's list of top 100 British films of the 20th century. And I'm not going to say I am a stout British film connoisseur, but Trainspotting feels like something genuine, and it feels like something that is important, more so even today, with the, general feeling of helplessness that a lot of people my age and younger and older, and actually, in fact, everyone kind of feels. This film takes a lot of very bold decisions with its narrative and with its characters that, I think it ages very, very well. And in fact, there is a sequel, Trainspotting 2. Actually, it's called T2 Trainspotting. Admittedly, I saw that film first. I saw that film without seeing this one, and I'll talk about that at a different date. But Trainspotting, the original, does a very beautiful job of making you feel involved with these characters and making you feel that sense of nihilism and helplessness that they endure throughout the duration of the film. Trying to think about any other high points. If you can't tell, I thoroughly love this film. I think that the director, Danny Boyle, really strikes a good balance of having you feel helpless, but also having you feel emotionally invested in the helplessness. I think that the characters all have this sense of grit about them, and even the characters that you don't like, you can kind of understand the charm of. And specifically with Bigby, like, you really begin to hate this dude, but throughout the course of the film, you also sort of begin to sympathize with his craziness, and like, it's not at all something that you inherently agree with at any point, but it's things that if you were in these situations and you had to deal with, being addicted to heroin, seeing your friends addicted to heroin, and there's a very key moment with one of the characters in here I don't want to spoil, but that was kind of heartbreaking. But it really makes you feel this degree of helplessness, and it tells it in a way that doesn't glorify the use of drugs, but it isn't shy about showing how this ruins lives. And I think that is a very powerful balance to strike. I will say, particularly with this film, the only big con is some of the camera work. You can tell is a bit and this might be associated with the budget, but some of the camera work is a little bit iffy. I think it's paced a little weird, but the moments of narration with Mark Renton, Ewan McGregor, his character narrates the majority of the film, and it feels very much so coincided with how his character goes about the narrative. So in that sense, the editing is pretty intentional, but at the same time, it does get a little bit jarring, and there are moments in this film where it feels a little bit wonky, but I don't want to detract from that. I think this film is absolutely fantastic. If you have the heart for it, I do definitely recommend you check it out. But it is a heavier watch, all things considered. There is, it's not an easy film to get all the way through. And I've seen a lot of pretty messed up shit, but Trainspotting really gets you in the heart the way that it's supposed to. And its ending is one of the most bittersweet conclusions I think I've seen in a long time. So all in all, I'll give Trainspotting a A. I'm gonna give it an A. Not an A plus. I'm gonna give it an A. And I think that is the first A I've handed out. Actually, I've only reviewed like 3 things, but I'm gonna give it an A. If you like what you see and you'd like to see more, please consider liking the video. Subscribe if you're new. Subscribe if you want to see more. Give me some motivation. But I do intend to do more of these videos. I will be reviewing the sequel to Trainspotting next. Hopefully sometime soon in the next few days. Maybe, fingers crossed. I'm not going to make any promises now. With all that being said, that concludes my review of Trainspotting. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I'll catch you next time. Take care.